Hey Tubies, it's Psychic Bob. Well, I'm sitting here, I just dragged out my old crystal ball. I'm spraying it down here, just getting it all polished up because I'm going to be using it very soon. If you weren't here yesterday, you missed my announcement. I'm going to be doing an appearance on March 20th at the Fillmore, which is a big event stadium in Silver Spring, Maryland. And I'm going to be joining WRQX Mix 107.3 for their Psychic Mix and Mingle. And they're having a big gathering. It's open to the public. Thousands of people are going to be coming out. And it's going to be cocktails and hors d'oeuvres, and it's open to the public for $10 an entry fee. But I'm one of the psychics, part of the Mystic Mix and Mingles. There are going to be psychic readers there to do readings. And the radio station called me and said, Psychic Bob, would you come do an appearance at our event? We'd love you to be there. I was so honored to be invited. So I'm definitely going to be there. Anyways, if you want to read more about the Psychic Mix and Mingle, look in the info box below this video, okay? Anyways, I'm just going to have this little crystal ball on my table, I think. How do you like that? It's kind of cool. It has a lot of bubbles in it. Now, I know some psychics say you have to have a clear crystal ball, but I like this one with bubbles. It just kind of takes me deeper into it. You know what I mean? So anyways, I'm getting that ready. Well, here we are. It's Friday. My gosh, where did the week go? It's UFO Friday. And I have been sitting here today as I've been working on cleaning up this crystal ball, and I've been meditating on a wonderful book I've been reading, and it's called Extraterrestrial Friends and Foes, and it's by George C. Andrews. And they have an interesting chapter in here, chapter 5, and it's called Clues Contained in Traditional Mythologies. And I really like this because they talk about the connections between the ancient gods and ancient aliens. And, you know, we talked about it here before on Spirit Channel. You know, I've talked about that I believe that it could be possible that some of the gods of India have an Arcturian connection. I was talking about how Krishna and Rama have blue skin, and they traveled in flying chariots. And many people are believing that this could be a connection to alien races. Well, this book that I just discovered talks about some of this as well. And I wanted to read a little bit of this to you because I just think it's absolutely fascinating. So this is chapter 5, and it says, besides modern indications that the language of at least one type of UFO occupant resembles Sanskrit, Sanskrit's the ancient language of India, we have unequivocal statements from ancient India that Sanskrit was in fact the language of the Devas, which translates into English as the gods. Now, interestingly, Deva means shining one, so the gods were believed to be shining and full of light. And it says, the Devas were indeed and still are the gods of the Hindu pantheon. Our word deity is derived from the Sanskrit word deva. The 4 Vedas are the literary foundation stones on which the entire civilization of India is based, equivalent in importance to the Bible in development of European civilization. Okay, so the ancient Sanskrit texts were called the Vedas, and they were like our ancient scrolls of the Bible, okay? And it was believed that those were divinely inspired or came from another place higher up. Okay. Here it is. It says, according to Hindu tradition, the 4 Vedas were not composed by inspired humans. They were written in Sanskrit directly by the Devas, who gave them to the Hindus in order to maintain a mutually beneficial relationship between terrestrial humanity in India and the celestial Devas. Okay? And this is absolutely fascinating. Now, they go on and they talk about the Greek Olympians. And let me just give a little background, because for any of you who have studied Greek mythology, our Western culture has a long, strong link to the ancient Greek myths. And in the ancient Greek mythology, there were 2 classes of gods. There were the Titans and then the Olympians. And they ended up going to war, and the Olympians won. But just very interesting, because listen to this, and they compare these two situations. And it says the Devas, which are the Hindu gods, Indian gods, possessed aerial vehicles which rendered them invincible in battle. Like the Greek gods who gathered on the summit of Mount Olympus, they were in many respects quite human. Now, let me just pause there, because anybody who studied the Hindu religion, I'm a big fan of Hinduism. I've been to their temples, I've studied all of that. I have pictures of the gods in my house. The Hindu gods are human looking, with the exception of Lord Ganesh, who's an amalgamation of human and elephant. But really, it's just interesting because they are shining ones and they appear human. Now, haven't I always said that our Earth was populated by aliens who looked human, okay? And we are descendants of that. Like the Greek gods who gathered on the summit of Mount Olympus, they were in many respects quite human. Just as the Greek Olympians cherished the beverage they called ambrosia and indulged in love affairs with mortal humans, so the Himalayan Devas cherished the beverage they called soma and at times became involved in amorous adventures with mortal humans. And I'm going to skip down here, and it has some other stuff that I think is interesting. As talks about the Asuras, you know, and it says, according to Hindu tradition, between the Devas and terrestrial humanity existed another type of being called the Asuras. The literal meaning of Asura is not gods. So there are a class of beings who were not gods, but they were not human either, okay? So the Asuras are definitely not gods. However, they travel in celestial chariots and have other abilities that terrestrial humans do not have, okay? During the early period of Hindu civilization, the Asuras were considered to be basically benevolent, just as the Devas were. However, at a certain point, they began to be described as enemies of the Devas, as proud, malevolent demons, motivated by insatiable, titanic lust for power. The hostility between the Greek Olympians and the Titans is comparable to the hostility between the Hindu Devas and Asuras, and may be a mythological description of the same series of events recorded through a different tradition. Isn't that interesting? See, we're seeing repeating themes in ancient culture of beings that came from the sky on glowing chariots and were glowing beings and interacted with humanity. Ancient gods, ancient aliens, huh? Think about that. What this historic rupture appears to indicate, this is the war between the Asuras and the Devas, is the outbreak of warfare between different types of celestial beings, which in modern terminology we would describe as races from outer space or UFO occupants. So there you have it. That's certainly something to think about, isn't it? You know, so I think that, you know, it would do us all well to go back and do some research. We want to, you know, read the Greek myths. I'm going to go back and see if I can get a Greek mythology book. I want to study the story of the battle between the Olympians and the Titans. And I want to go study the Vedas for the conflict between the Asuras and the Devas. I find it so fascinating because, you know, in the Greek myths, they talk about that, you know, Apollo traveled on his chariot across the sky. Helios traveled in a chariot. There was a sun god. In India, they have a sun god who also travels in a chariot named Surya. So are Apollo and Surya the same person? Could the myth be a true biographical reality of beings who came from the stars. I think there's a lot of truth hidden behind these mythologies. And in the past we've always believed, well, myth just means a story that's made up, but myth doesn't necessarily mean that something's not real. The mythos, the tales of a culture and of civilization, may very well be rooted in reality, though we call them mythology. See, modern day, everybody says in modern days, well, mythology means it's not real. But the ancients didn't view mythology as unreal. They believed it as literal stories of their culture and their history. So I think for us as explorers of the unknown, as meditators on the UFO phenomena, we want to look at the history of the Earth and go back to the ancient mythology. I really do believe there is a link there. And we're going to explore that more. But today I wanted just to touch in with you and share that idea. Maybe you can tell me, have you ever read the ancient Greek mythology of the war of the Titans and the Olympians of Mount Olympus? Have you read the Hindu Vedic scriptures that tell about the war between the Devas and Asuras? Tell me in the box below, what is your thought on this? Maybe you've never read them, but maybe you've heard about it. Do you think it's possible that ancient aliens were the founders of our society? That we literally are all connected to beings who come from the stars? Something to think about. Anyways, I'm going to leave you guys with that thought today. I'm going to keep it short. Psychic Bob's having a really busy day. I'm so enjoying being with all of you. A lot of you have been calling for private readings. We'll say thank you. We are getting you on the schedule as quickly as it can, so bear with us. But you guys are the best. And, if you want to read more about me as a psychic, you can also pop over to my website at robert-hickman.com. I'll put the link to my website in the info box below. And while you're over there, you can also read about the Psychic Mix and Mingle that I'll be doing for Mix 107.3. And for those of you who don't know, even if you're not in the Washington area, the internet at the station, they have an internet feed, so you can listen to the event live as it's broadcast on 107.3. So definitely check out the link below for that. Well, guys, I'm going to go back here to reflecting on my crystal ball and seeing what further mysteries I uncover. Maybe it will reveal to me more about the ancient civilizations. Listen, thanks for being here. If you want to help me out, like this video, favorite it, share it with your friends. Please hit subscribe, join our channel. We'd love you to be here. And listen, feel free to take my videos. You can post them on your website, post them on Facebook, post them wherever you want. Let's get the word out about Spirit Channel. You guys are best. I love you. Sending blessings to all of you. Keep it here because tomorrow, what's tomorrow? Saturday. That means Saturday night seance. You don't want to miss it. Make sure to be here. And if you didn't see yesterday's video, definitely check that out. I went out and went to CVS. Do I need to say any more? Psychic Bob and CVS, that's definitely drama. Go see yesterday's video if you haven't seen it as well. You guys are best. I love you. We'll see you back here tomorrow. And until then, may you always blessed